When talking about the new power-ups for Sanji, a great variety of theories are made. A new Germa suit, Lunarian genes, Conqueror Awakening, and new flames. Some of them are almost confirmed, like Conquerors for example. The awakening of Sanji Conquerors was a debated topic ever since Zoro also unlocked that ability in Wano. From hints on manga cover pages, arts, and chapters, some fans had already theorized his eventual upgrade, and with the confirmation of Gaban Advanced Conqueror, Sanji Locked as well just became a matter of time, as both occupied similar roles as the left hand of their captains and the third strongest of their crew. With the imminent unlock of the color of Conquerors and the new advantages that come with that ability, it's very possible that just by this arc we can have Sanji also unlock a new type of flames just like in Wano. In Wano, Sanji's Germa's upgrades also gave him the ability to create blue fire by becoming more durable and faster. Now back on the above, the improvements that come with the coding of Conquerors working in a similar way, with better stats and stronger body, Sanji's ability to create fire on his kicks can be improved even more. Have you ever wondered how stronger his flames could become and how Sanji will actually reach that? If you think that blue flame is going to be the final level because of how real life temperature works, I hate to say that, but you are terribly mistaken. The world of One Piece holds a flame even stronger than anything we've seen in this series. Wanna see the new grades of fire and the power that even Nemo was after for centuries? Then without much further ado, let's get to the video. After the revelation of the Holy Knight's weaknesses and that the only way to counter their regeneration was the constant use of Conquerors on attacks, it became obvious that Sanji needed this power as soon as possible. His performance against Saturn showed how far he was to actually being a threat to the top fighters of the world government. Now that Luffy and Loki are going to fight against Imo, the only who is close enough to Summers and is actually able to damage him is Gaban. But after getting stabbed, I don't think he can keep fighting at the same level. Garp, for example, got way worse after getting stabbed by Shiryu, and the same will also happen to Gaban. As a result, Sanji's fight against Summers will likely work in a similar way to Luffy's fight against Katakuri or Zoro's fight against King, in a way that both of these duels were more than combat, they were a point of evolution of these characters. Luffy learned how to use Future Sight, while Zoro had finally awakened his color of Conqueror. Back to Sanji, the advanced and most powerful version of Conquerors gives the user a variety of enhancements that are capable of surpassing even the strongest Devil Fruit. It increases not just the power of the attacks, but also the user's durability. And a better defense is exactly what Sanji needs to have to create a new type of flame. That happens because of how his Diable and Ifrit Jamble works. Sanji has a natural resistance against fire because he had years of cooking, but when talking about other flames, he cannot actually stand that without the use of defensive techniques. After time skip, Sanji became immune to the drawbacks of Diable Jambe just because of his armament and training. During Wano, his Genius Awakening gave him a steel skin which, combined with a more trained armament, allowed Sanji to achieve Blue Flame. When he explains how his Ifrit was possible, it's also implied that he was already fast enough to create that even before the awakening of his Germa powers. It was only that his own durability wasn't high enough to support the heat. The coding of Conquerors is also capable of increasing his defense to a completely different level. Kaido and Big Mom became immune to powers like loud teleportation, and even internal damage wasn't a great deal against them. Rocks used it to cover his body and was so durable to the point that Garp and Roger needed to combine their strongest hack to surpass that. By combining the overall natural improvement of Sanji with the advanced Conquerors, he would be able to handle the strongest flames in One Piece. Another thing that never got exactly confirmed is how some users of Conquerors are capable of creating flames, sometimes even out of nowhere. Garp used fire-infused punches against rocks. Roger's final attack was named after a fire god. And Shanks also got an instated ability of conjuring flames for his sword. Converting Haki into other elements was certainly not confirmed, but if the ability of Conquerors can also give the user the combustion to create fire on the attacks, that would give Sanji even more heat to surpass his current flame. You might think, which is the next color of his fire then? I mean, in real life, blue fire is technically the maximum color that a fire can get, and the max temperature. You may think that in One Piece, Sanji would only keep increasing the temperature to keep the same tone and color, but different flames were also shown across the series. Black fire is also a popular theory because of Sanji's title as Black Leg. We also saw those black clouds around Gorosei and Awakened Lucian Kaku, which if you look by that, looks kinda similar to black fire. Shamrock's sword was also having black flames while in Cerberus form. And if you think about that, Armament Haki is also black, and we saw how other characters were changing their element colors by using it sometimes. Dolphy used black strings, and Katakuri was shown using black mochi, and that should make sense, right? Well, not exactly. Oda only draws that armament in that way in order to show that characters are actually using it, and that's why Dolphy was making fun of Dolphy's gear 4th, because that's how it would look like without the black parts. Armament Haki is in fact invisible and won't work as an armor. The closer we get to a different color because of Haki has been Zoro King of Hell, which he used after unlocking his Conqueror. It emanates a green aura which looks similar to fire. But again, there was no confirmed hit involved, and if you look by anime, it just looked like a type of aura just like other Zoro's attacks. So if it's unlikely to be black flames or green flames, is there another color that actually fits Sanji as a whole and can be even stronger than blue flames? Well, actually, yes. And it's not just normal fire, but also works as one of the most important pieces of the final saga. A flame that represents the highest levels of energy, so strong it would be capable of charging a sun. The final level of Sanji Diable Jambe could be no other than the Mother Flame. It's a fire so strong that one of its names is Undying Flame, strong enough to energize the weapons of the world government. It's a power of the Void Century replicated by the science of Vegapunk. By using such power, Imo was able to order the full destruction of Lulusia. Another thing that we got on anime was its official color. It was revealed that the true color of the Mother Flame was bright pink. But how could Sanji in theory create that? Like I said, Vegapunk needed a power plant to make this type of energy, and it certainly needs more than just speed, right? But don't forget that Sanji's father was also a colleague of Vegapunk as well, and Queen also ponders if Sanji was a Lunarian because of his capacity of generating heat. Sanji is also getting extremely faster each arc, especially because of his now inhuman body, and it would be not a stretch to say that at least in One Piece, he could spin so fast of becoming a solar reactor. I mean, we saw how some dinosaurs were able to use some helicopter movements in Wano, and Sanji is already fast enough to even intercept a laser from Kizaru. And being able to handle the temperature could be possible if you consider that Sanji can have basically 4 types of defense stacked. His natural top level durability and fire resistance compared to other humans. His steel skin amplifying his physique even more. His armament haki, which will also improve, and finally the future coating of Conqueror. Also, everyone knows how, despite having attacks strong enough to destroy Queen, one of the Sanji's weaknesses is his destructible capacity. Fighting not just against admirals but against Gorosei as well, it's clear that the use of kicks won't be enough to compete with the regen and massive ranged attacks by itself. But now imagine what a kick with a power capable of raising Iceland out of existence could actually do. Now back to Sanji, you need to also remember his dream as well. The history of All Blue is said to be a myth, and the sea in One Piece is divided by the Grand Line and the Red Line. But in front of the Mother Flame, I think that even Red Line could be destroyed, and the Straw Hats are basically very likely to destroy it, as in Fishman Island, Luffy was predicted into having a decisive factor on its destruction. The upgrades of a Mother Flame kick would go beyond just brute strength, as each of Sanji's flames are also capable of increasing his speed, and right now it's actually confirmed that Sanji is fast enough to become invisible just because of his speed. Another thing we can talk about Pink Flames is how it can also showcase Sanji using love on his attacks. And that's not just a theory, we saw him doing something similar in Thriller Bark to save Nami. Garp said how he was using love against Luffy, and even though confirmed that Nami was unable to damage Luffy without Haki because she used love while doing that. You might see that as a joke or a gag, but remember that just after one when she knocked Luffy and caged him, Jinbei also wondered if she was using conquerors while screaming. If you look at both Sanji past flames, they would represent Sanji character as a whole. Diable Jamble is his duty and his job as the cook of the crew. Ifrit Jamble show his dream of meeting the All Blue in his official color. Thinking of that, there is basically no other aspect that represents Sanji more than love. After Vegapunk's partial death, the Mother Flame was compromised and taken by Imo. The power to raise kingdoms to dust might make you think that it's just a terrible and merciless weapon. But even weapons can be used for different reasons. Shirahoshi is capable of both destroying the world and saving it. And even destructible weapons of the lost time like Pluton have their own uses to bring freedom in One Piece. Despite being known as commanders, Sanji and Zoro are fated to become strong enough to contend with the old gen monsters. Zoro is going to be the strongest swordsman in all history, and everyone knows how, despite Zoro fans not acknowledging that, Sanji is always on par with him for most arcs. The next fights of Sanji and his duty as the left wing of the Pirate King asks him for a power that goes even beyond from what we saw from the old generation. People are already questioning if Luffy's commander are going to hold to that level eventually. With 1 million bounties, the wings of the Pirate King represents his top commanders, but even Whitebeard's crew was not strong enough to defeat the admirals, let alone the Gorosei. The individuality of Luffy is unmatched. The combination of both Conquerors and Sun God makes him a contender for defeating Nemo, but the fight against Gorosei cannot be winnable without the strongest wings as well. Will infusing his will force into his kicks and burning enemies with love makes Sanji strong enough to not just fight against Gorosei but also destroy the Red Line as well? Well, that's something for the next chapters.